Guy live. We're here and we're live. Jamie, you're here, and I'm here. We're missing one person, but Jamie, we have branding. It's orange. Look at it.
It's only taken us 33 episodes to get some branding. We finally
I'm
did
gonna
it.
switch the names. This name that I like those names better. I think that pops more. I like that. That's good. Yeah, Jamie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've been catching up on some wrestling that we're going to cover today. I'm currently getting ready to go to Spain, so it's been a pretty busy week.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm feeling good. Obviously, 4th of July episode. So shout out to all the Americans.
That's
for
right.
Independence
Shout out.
Day,
That's right. That's right. Ooh, I forgot to get something. I was going to get something for the start of this, but I was too busy looking for the TJPW Summer Sun Princess card, which I can't seem to
find it
fucking
either.
find. I know, that's what I'm saying. I think I got it now. Let's see.
Okay.
Is it yeah, okay. That answers that question. So I don't know. Card looks pretty fucking mid to me, but what do I know? All right, yeah. It's you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get into, well, first of all, Murph is not here. I think you all are aware. Murph, obviously, at this point, Murph is not here. He unfortunately was instrumental in the banning of protections for gay people in the United States. So he had to keep working on that. You know, they're kind of celebrating their victory there. He was also big on removing affirmative action as a right. So he's been busy with that over the last couple weeks, but in the meantime, we're gonna hold it down here on Dumb Guy Live. So, Jamie, let's start with Stardom. I'm gonna let you kick things off. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm gonna do a little bit here, and you just get. Let's start with. Can we start with Nanai versus Starlight Kid, or is there anything from the first few matches that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's pretty. That's where I'd start pretty much with it. So yeah.
All right, let's do it. Jump right in.
Let's go. Yeah, passion injection match, as is often the case with these Nanai singles matches. Yeah, I don't have kind of like too much to say on this one. I think it's probably the best passion injection match we've had so far. By no means have any of them been bad. I think most of them have been pretty much the opponent's best match of their career. Kind of, you've had kind of like the Ruakas and Mai Sakurai's of the world. The kind of lower end. Obviously, Starlight Kid is a bit higher up on the pecking order with Stardom. But I think it was super fun dynamic. Obviously, you had Momoe Nakanishi there and Starlight Kid hitting a few of their moves. It was fun, little dynamic of play. Nanai gets the win, which I don't know if I was expecting. I think I was probably expecting it with the kind of politics that goes on there. But I think it has a little something going into the 5-star with Starlight Kid. I think she's kind of got a lot to prove. And I think if I remember correctly, the final match for Starlight Kid in the 5-star is Mayu again. So there's kind of a lot riding on this 5-star with Starlight Kid. So be interesting to see where she's kind of heading in the next few weeks and months. But yeah, I thought it was a fun little match. What do you think of this one?
I thought this match was really good. I thought this was one of the best Nanai singles matches in this most recent run that she's had in Stardom. I think the passion injection matches are usually pretty good. They do toe the line between Nanai is great, and she's obviously portraying her character as like the veteran who's just a million times better than who she's wrestling. I think sometimes she oversteps that line, but this one it was back and forth. Like there were great near falls and everything like that. I really enjoyed this match. Thought it was really good. I like Nanai Takahashi a lot. I obviously love Starlight Kid, so yeah, this was an A+ for me.
Yeah, good stuff. I do not.
I'm having a bomb pop. This is the classic American treat for the 4th of July, and this is where they get that prime flavor from.
I should have had one. I should have tried to get one for today. That a missed opportunity there.
They're really fucking good, and they're like 40 calories. I could have like a million of them, and it's nothing. So anyway, I like this.
Yeah. Do you have the exact card? Or I've kind of forgot what comes up next. I know the kind of.
It was the Goddess match next. It was Go ahead.
Yeah, Rose Gold making their first defense. Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May of Club Venus against a different God's Eye team this time. Ami Sourei and Shuri subbing in for Mirai. I thought this was really fun. I think this was one of the best kind of goddess matches we've had in a little while. I think it surpassed anything that the new eras did with the belt.
Hmm.
I think kind of a big part of it was the substitution of Shuri for Mariah, and that's not me shitting on Mariah. We're gonna get to Mariah in a little bit. I thought she had kind of like a good showing on this show, but you know, goes without saying that Shuri is kind of like an upgrade on almost any wrestler
Hmm.
that you're gonna sub in there. And yeah, I think Mina and Mariah have great chemistry. And I think putting the belt on them at this time was definitely the right decision. And yeah, really fun tag match. I think Ami Sourei again, super impressive. I like their dynamic with Shuri as a partner. I think I do definitely prefer that team. And Mina gets the pin on Shuri, which was a little surprising. Obviously, Shuri's super protected. Not like a total like bit of a roll up. Didn't like have it like down for the count or anything. But it's still a very very big pin. And yeah, I thought it was a fun little tag match.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a fun little tag match too. I like Club Venus, Rose Gold as the tag champs here. I'm glad that Mina Shirakawa is will have what appears to be a longer reign than what she had with the white belt as a champion. I feel like she's earned that just as a fan of the promotion. And Mariah May, I think I'm probably a little lower on her than some people. Some people, I think, frankly, Stardom has had some really rough foreigners come in that just haven't been that good. And when you get somebody in there who's like actually competent, I wonder if maybe they get a little overrated at times. I do. She's also like extreme, like still so new to wrestling that she can no doubt continue to improve. But so for me, this champion team is more fun than it is like something I'm chomping at the bit to see. I love the challenger team. Obviously, people know I'm a huge believer in Ami Sourei, and I just love the dynamic between her and Shuri. Like Ami Sourei joining Stardom was in March 2022 when she was brought in as Shuri's backup when she double defended the world title on 2 nights at Sumo Hall. And so I've always felt like they had a connection there that wasn't really explored all that much. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed this match as well.
Yeah, good stuff. And before we move on to what I believe is the high speed match, we don't need to spend a ton on the actual match itself. One quick thing that I think we missed: the match itself isn't like anything super important, but the aftermath of the Queen's Quest match obviously sets up something that we kind of got a bit more later. So Queen's Quest stand in the ring, Utami Hayashishita. Obviously, they recently had a big win in that cage match where a lot of people kind of thought that one of the two big players in Queen's Quest were going to leave. They ended up more united than ever, but not as united as we first thought. Utami announced that she's going on a little journey, which at the time we didn't really know exactly what that meant, but it seems like she's stepping away from Queen's Quest for a little while. Obviously now we know that she's going to be working, I believe, 3 dates with GCW pretty soon as well, right? In the next like kind of couple of days. And yeah, so pretty exciting. Like, it sparked a bit of discourse, which, these kind of GCW things tend to do. They're not exactly everyone's favorite promotion, but they're by no means mine. But I mean, my kind of take on it is like, we're going to see one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, get a chance to perform in America to a new audience. I think, regardless of where that takes place, that's always a good thing, right?
I would be stunned if GCW is like the pinnacle of where Utami goes on this run. You know what I mean? Like AEW or New Japan or wherever, right? It just like, come on, like they gotta do something with her, right? And so my thought is like, there's all these comments that are like, what is TK cooking? Like, why is he not bringing in Utami Hayashishita? Well, first of all, like maybe there's like a plan, right? But also, we've seen before when people announce these American tours that it's not until later that it's revealed that they are doing stuff with AEW. You know what I mean? So maybe that's already like in the cards and they just haven't announced it yet because it doesn't make sense based on this, their TV or whatever. So I give people the benefit of the doubt. I think there's really competent people in wrestling right now for the most part. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I saw that her versus Billy Starks has already been announced, which is a super fun match. I'm so excited for that. Starks is one of the talents in the indies with the highest potential right now, in my opinion. So, yeah, just saw her on the AEW New Japan pre-show.
Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like when the GCW run was announced, Billy Stark's kind of like the first person I thought of in that GCW orbit as like a potential opponent. So I'm more than happy for to see that match announced. And yeah, like on the AEW thing, like you said, we won't find out. Probably if I was trying to kind of like thinking where she kind of slots in terms of like if she's appearing this week, Rampage seems like a safe bet. That's kind of where they kind of showcase a few, maybe international
Mhm.
talents and people from other companies. We wouldn't find that out until Dynamite probably, because obviously
Right.
it's a tape thing. They'd announced it, kind of during Dynamite. So, I kind of like wait and see on that one. I'd be surprised if the GCW thing, like you said, is the only thing she's doing. But yeah, I'm happy to see it. So anyway, let's move on back to Midsummer Champions. I
Mhm.
believe the next match was the
High
high speed
speed.
title match. Yeah, Saki Kashima making her first defense of the high speed title against her former stablemate Fukigen Death. She's been avoiding defending that belt, and she's going to continue to do so, but she had to do it on this one. Pretty sure match as kind of like most
It
of
was
these
like 3
things
minutes.
are. Yeah, the dynamic was kind of like towards the start. Fukigen Death didn't really want to hit Saki Kashima with the newspaper. Those two, similarly with Rina, were kind of closer than others in Oedo Tai. But by the end, obviously, Saki gets the win, and then they all kind of kick the shit out of her, jump into the ring, Oedo Tai, beating her down. Still no Rina getting involved in that. She kind of stays out of it. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But Shuri and Ami Sourei come back out and make the save. And then afterwards, Saki Kashima kind of begs Shuri to let her into God's Eye. I think the exact wording was she wants to be Shuri's goldfish, which popped me. So, and then Shuri accepts, and yeah, Saki Kashima's found a new home in God's Eye. I'm more than happy with that. And obviously, last week I said wherever Saki Kashima goes, I'm going with her. So I'm in.
You're all
As
in
that
on God's eye.
yeah, shock the system. That's the
Mhm.
one. So yeah, I'm all in. Mirai good, God's Eye up.
Right, good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
but
All right.
yeah. What do you think of this kind of faction change, for Saki Kashima?
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not the biggest Saki Kashima
Mhm.
fan. I like that she won the title just because I think she's been really likable like recently, and I really enjoyed when she was in Oedo Tai the dynamic. When they were artist champions with Momo and
Mhm.
Starlight Kid. I enjoyed that team quite a bit. Um, we'll see where this goes with God's Eye. I do think God's Eye, especially because they have all these like part timers who
Mhm.
like where's Tomoki Inaba? You know what I mean? Who we thought was going to be maybe more of a fixture in Stardom coming up, and she's been kind of
Mhm.
absent for a while. And then they have like Nanami, which is kind of weird too. But so I do think the idea that they needed a fresh
Mhm.
infusion of someone new, someone to give them a little bit of personality. I think that makes sense. And Saki Kashima has loads of personality, so
Mhm.
she will definitely bring that to the stable.
Yeah, and it's a high speed edition that they haven't had as well, right? Kind of
Hmm.
one of the only factions that doesn't really have a player in that division. Now they've got the champion, so it's a big win for them. Next up was the Wonder of Stardom title match, I
Yes,
believe.
Wonder title.
Yeah, Tam Nakano defending the white belt against Mirai, Cinderella winner, two-time Cinderella winner. Mirai, obviously a controversial figure on this podcast, of not anyone's favorite around here. And Mirai got the win. I was 50-50 going in. I wasn't too sure, just because they're doing a lot with this whole Tam double belt thing. Obviously like ending Mina's reign in pretty short fashion to get there. Um, but also, I was kind of unsure. I didn't really. I was torn on Mirai winning because obviously she won the Cinderella kind of back to back, and I think if she didn't win, we'd all kind of be like, well, what was the point in that, right? Especially when the Waka story, as we've mentioned, was kind of like right there, staring everyone in the face. But and then also the kind of other side of it is, I think there are a lot of people ahead of Mirai that are kind of more deserving of the white
Hmm.
belt, and that's been kind of our gripe with her for a while. Regardless, I thought the match was great. I thought she showed up big time for this one, and that goes a long way in kind of convincing me that to give this run a chance. I thought the intensity was like there from the off, a lot of like strong forearms. At one point, she's like hitting Tam like kind of brutalizing her on the ropes, and she's throwing the ref around. She wants, like, she refuses to stop. But yeah, just like a nice intense white belt match. Obviously, Tam brings out the kind of intensity and emotion in a lot of her opponents better than anyone. And Mariah gets the big win. Surprised that this didn't main event, considering kind of like the title change. But yeah, I thought it was a really good showing for both women, and willing to give it a chance for Mariah. What did you think of Mariah's big win?
This was the best Mariah match I've ever seen. This match was great. It was really, really awesome. Now, I do have to say, her two great matches that I've seen her in have been against Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano. And that's like, those are two wrestlers is pretty damn tough to not have a great match against. With that being said, I thought she completely brought it in this one. It was so physical. I love how much punishment she took from Tam. Tam, she doesn't hold back on anything. Like, she will beat the shit out of you. And Mariah just took it and continued to fire up. I love the new look for her. I think it's super fresh. It's a lot closer to how she looked in TJPW. I think it fits her well. It makes her just feel more fiery, in my opinion, and less boring. And I feel like she was fired up too, that she's actually winning the belt this time. I felt like she was extra motivated. You look back on the other great match that I think that Mayu match from last year's 5-star is underrated almost. It's fantastic. But it was also like her first ever 5-star GP match, and so you would expect that she's super motivated. So I thought she was just great in this. I'm with you. We've talked about this on the show before. I think we would both rather have Starlight Kid, Hazuki, any number of people, sort of Micah, any number, Suzu Suzuki, any number of people sort of on that upper mid card level, getting this white belt opportunity. But if Mariah can have matches like this, night in and night out, I will have no criticism with it. None at all. The booking of this was still so weird. Like, I still don't understand why they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, why not just have Mina win and then have a couple defenses and then have Mariah beat her or something like that? Like, why did they have to go through this? I don't really understand what happened here. But regardless, we finally have some structure to this, this red belt and white belt situation, and we have our world champ in Tam, we have our white belt champ in Mariah, and that's the situation. So I thought this was great. Like I said, best match of Mariah's career. And while I have not been a super fan, I've thought she's been super boring. This match was anything but. This is one of the more heated Stardom matches I've seen all year too. Tam is a big part of that. But the title change was warranted, and now it's just up to her to keep it up.
Yeah. The only kind of thing I'd add on the kind of booking front in terms of like overall, where we've gone with kind of like Mina to Tam to Mariah, I do wonder whether the decision to have the kind of Tam and Mina match, maybe like I'm not totally sure who the next red belt champion will be. Or maybe they're playing the long game with Mina. Maybe they're super high on her and they wanted to kind of build that long term. Obviously, Tam still got the red belt, so we'll see. But there's going into the 5-star, there's a lot of contenders now, and it's a lot more open than it kind of used to be. So we'll see. Main event in the show was the Indian strap match, which was certainly a choice for a gimmick match. I don't think too many people were like crying out for it, but hey, we got it. Natsupoi and Soriano, both Cosmic Angels. This match wasn't like this wasn't my favorite Stardom main event in a long time. I think kind of I don't think any of like the actual in-ring work was like bad. Obviously, I really like both of these two. I think I don't love the stipulation. I think just kind of it doesn't
Yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, you keep going.
Yeah, there's not really like too much you can do with it to kind of get around the you've got to get a pin and then touch all 4 corners. It gets interrupted. You kind of got to do it again. It kind of makes the match feel like you're dragging it out a bit longer than it needed to. And that was definitely the case with this one. I think there was points where had they just had a normal singles match and kind of called it at certain points, we'd all be talking about this a lot more fondly than we did. I think also the crowd weren't super into it. Which is a point I wanted to make about the Mariah match. They were super into Mariah and I think they were a bit flat for this one.
Mhm.
But yeah, just kind of left a lot to be desired in terms of like these two can have a way better like straight one-on-one singles match. I don't know whether we'll get it down the line because obviously they're kind of like still on the same on the same
Are
team.
they in the same block of the 5-star? Do you know?
They may be. I'm not too sure.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I don't have it super memorized. I know a few people that are matched up, but quite possibly. I don't know. But
Yeah, the
we
chat will
still
tell
may.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, someone will point it out. But
Mhm.
yeah, just kind of like left a lot to be desired, a bit lackluster, and obviously the stipulation is kind of the main factor in that. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the Indian strap match?
Yeah, it looks like they're not on the in the same blog. I'm sure we'll get it at some point. But
Mhm.
I I saw the reception for this. I just watched this afternoon, so I just watched this a couple
Mhm.
hours ago. And I saw the reception to it. A lot of people were like, "Man, this was bad. This is one of the worst Stardom main events in a long time." I thought this match was really good. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed it. I am part of it is I'm a huge fan of both women,
Mhm.
but I just thought the action was really strong, and they're hitting each other with the brutal suplexes that you might expect. They're whipping each other with the strap. They're brawling all over. It felt heated, felt personal
Mhm.
to me. It ticked all the boxes. The two big complaints that I saw, they just didn't affect it as much for me, were the stipulation itself, the strap match.
Mhm.
I thought that was completely superfluous. I'm completely with you.
Mhm.
Everything that was good about this match had nothing to do with the strap at all, or the stipulation. So if that's the case, it doesn't add anything, then it takes away, right? So
Mhm.
no point there. And then just the placement on the card leading to less of an excited crowd, I thought was a
Mhm.
big part of it too. Really difficult to follow the previous match. A title change for the white belt where your world champ gets beaten, right? A crowning of Cinderella, right?
Mhm.
And then your main event is a strap match. And so it just felt a little bit, it just felt a little bit out of order to me. In fact,
Mhm.
there was more that felt like it was weird that the high speed match was third from the top. Like the high speed match, I would have thought would have been a match lower, if not two matches lower on this card. But so there was a little bit of that here, and maybe Stardom's just experimenting with that because they do so many and they can afford to do that. Just experiment with the structure of the show. But I thought the in-ring action was really strong overall. Huge fan of both. Ano got the win, right? I didn't
Yeah.
just make that up. Yeah, okay. Usually you kind of remember, and then you're like, you kind of remember what the winner looked like, but they looked the same. So that was kind of part of that. But I love the story between these two. I love that they're kind of joined at the hip, and
Mhm.
all the way down to their appearance, they are similar. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a successful pay-per-view. I enjoyed practically everything on the show that I saw,
Mhm.
and that semi-main event is one of the I'd say top 15 or so Stardom matches of the year. I thought it was great.
Yeah, good little show overall. Some fun matches and some big notable stuff happening. Yeah, fun little show. Obviously, not the only show that happened on that day. We're going to get to kind of some
Mhm.
of the other things that happened. It was a pretty busy.
We're gonna start with New Japan, but in the meantime,
Mhm.
we're gonna go to some super chats. We got a $10 super chat from
Oh,
Six Star. We love you, Six. Heart, Dumb Guy Live Heart. Thank you so much. I give you a heart as well. Thank you, Six. We appreciate that so much. Six as well. $1.99 Teach Bad. I agree. I concur. We'll go over this card later
Mhm.
on, so stick around for that. Is that the dumb guy? I think it is. Are they live? I think they are. That's $5 from Darren Kagi. We are. It's true. We're here. And then we also have a $4.99 super chat from Ron. We don't know what Ron it could be. Please
Yeah, could
excuse
be anyone.
Murph. Yeah. Please excuse Murph as he's helping me with my campaign. Also, P, happy 4th. Jamie, ha, y'all lost. Long live the USA. Long live Dumb Guy Live. I'm down with that.
Who's
I'm done with that.
who's this y'all you speak of? Hey, I'm I'm over here. We're over here fighting for independence too, man. One day the Republic of Liverpool will get there. I aspire to be
Liverpool.
just like America. So
Liverpool.
I'm over here
All right.
celebrating 4th of July. Good for you guys.
Okay.
We'll,
Okay.
we'll, we'll get there one day.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's move on to New Japan Pro Wrestling here. Today, we had New Japan Strong Independence Day, the first New Japan Strong show from Japan. It was from Korakuen
Mhm.
Hall. I'm not going to go through this entire show.
Mhm.
There was some preview stuff setting up, for example, Eddie Kingston versus Kenta. There was early on the show, I heard that Tom Lawler and Kosei Fujita had a great little singles match. I heard that Lance Archer was great and JR Kratos bled everywhere in a preview tag, but it was really about the final 4 matches here. Continuing the Stardom theme, Momo Kogo and Willow Nightingale took on Julia and Tekla, Mafia Bella of Donna Del Mondo, ahead of Willow defending the New Japan Strong title against Julia tomorrow in about 8 hours or so. And Willow got the win. She pinned Tekla, and I thought this was a great preview tag.
Yeah, no surprise that I love this match. Obviously, everyone involved, I'm a super big fan of. We kicked off the match with Willow and Julia in the ring, which I thought was fun. So, straight into that preview vibe. And yeah, everyone kind of showed out in this one. Obviously, the main story, as you kind of pointed out, is previewing that Willow and Julia dynamic. But I thought, I think Momo Kogo and Tekla definitely came away with a lot of new fans in this one.
Yeah, I do
Momo
too.
Kogo, who's kind of like kind of on the lower end, pretty much stars as pin eater. She steps in the New Japan ring, bright lights, Momo Kogo. She showed out 2 out of 2 times. So another good showing for her. Tekla, obviously, I'm super high on her. I think she's great. And yeah, just it's like a really fun match. Got me even more excited than I already was for the title match tomorrow. I think I'm kind of expecting Julia to win that one, just in kind of like where those 2 are. In case obviously Willow getting the pin in this one leads me to believe that even further. But yeah, just fun stuff. I think that that title match tomorrow should be excellent. This kind of showed that even more.
Really looking forward to it. I completely agree that Momo Kogo being in this spot is so good for her. I've been such a believer in her. She's one of my 10 favorite on the Stardom roster, and that's saying something. They got a stacked roster. I love Momo Kogo. She's just great. She's the type of wrestler who gives me Ice Ribbon vibes, which is the highest possible compliment I can give, right? Just makes you feel good about watching her wrestle. Feels like she's really is thinking about what she's doing and is trying to be entertaining and all that. I really value that. So, I thought this match was great. Tekla was great here. Good on her, taking a pin for Willow as well. She's decently well protected. She's not like she's invincible or anything, but good booking to set up Willow as someone who's worth this spot, right, as the champion. So I thought that was good too. But I agree. I'm feeling like Julia's winning this tomorrow. We'll at the end of this, we'll get into a more specific preview for tomorrow, just briefly. But I'm kind of with you there. We also had 2 title changes on this show. We had, and I think this is such fun booking. We're getting 2 straight nights of Bishamon defending their 2 separate tag belts against the Bullet Club War Dogs. I didn't make that up, right? They're doing that tomorrow too. And this first night was for the Strong titles, and the Bullet Club War Dogs was this their first match together?
I'm not sure. I feel like they may have had one on like a random show, but I'm not sure. I've not seen if they have.
Oh yeah, they have on the most recent tour they did. But I thought I love the War Dogs. They're great. They're the new Strong Openweight Tag Champs. I love Gabriel Kidd. He's an incredible in-ring talent. And Coughlin, people forget that Coughlin is essentially like a pure New Japan young lion. Like he had no wrestling experience practically before coming to New Japan, and he's finally been trained up, getting his shot to really show up and show out. And they were just a ton of fun. They tap before the bell. They brawl everywhere. It's dramatic, but it's not like so much interference and bullshit and brawling and like cheating like it is if it's House of Torture, that it's like grating. I love the War Dogs. I don't think they'll win tomorrow, but I'm glad that they're strong tag champs.
Yeah, I love this one. As you know, a lot of people are super high as well on the War Dogs. I think Coughlin and Kidd, as well as the kind of junior editions we've had as well, which we're going to get to. They've kind of really given this kind of iteration of Bullet Club a big boost. Obviously, the David Finlay as leader thing kind of was a bit of a spooky star for some, but I think they're kind of on the right track now. And I think yeah, Gabe Kidd, especially like you mentioned, he's got such high potential. I think there's some people pointing out in the Respirous group chat today that they kind of see him as the potential leader down the line. Some people want that pretty soon as well.
Maybe
I think,
sooner than later.
yeah. I think still got a few like character things to flesh out a bit more, but I think he could absolutely be there. And yeah, just like a really fun kind of like powerhouse team. Obviously not like a super clean win, because obviously they jumped them before the bell, stuff like that. But as you mentioned, not like an outrageous amount of like interference and shenanigans and stuff. So they come across really strong. Obviously Bishamon, one of the kind of big teams in the New Japan's tag division. And yeah, just like a great start for the War Dogs. It's kind of a big, some new players in the New Japan tag division. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again tomorrow with a slightly different dynamic. Obviously we're going to get to the show a little bit later, but I'm kind of predicting that there's going to be a bit of 50-50 booking here. I don't think they're going to win both belts, but yeah, a little fun time, and a big win for Bullet Club.
Both of these guys are in the G1, so we'll get a really good chance to see what they're made of later this month. Second from the top, another title change, this time for the junior tag titles, the IWGP junior tag titles. The Bullet Club War Dogs, once again, this was Clark Connors and the newly christened Drilla Maloney, not Dan Maloney, Drilla Maloney, defeated Catch 22, Akira, and TJP in what I thought was another great match, another great tag match. TJP and Akira have incredible teamwork. Like, they just have so many double teams, and they're so like in sync with what the other's doing. They're up fighting on that upper level that people do in Korakuen Hall. I think that was a lot of fun. And yeah, just a really fast-paced, exciting match by a country mile, the best match I've ever seen Drilla Maloney involved in. And yeah, another success, new champs.
Yeah, I love this match. I think kind of like in ring. Obviously, we're going to get to the main event, which I think everyone loved. But in terms of like just pure in ring, kind of no, shenanigans and stuff like that. I thought this was the best like match on the show. And yeah, just really great showing for everyone involved. Obviously, TJP and Akira kind of got a new dynamic going into this one. With obviously like way more babyface vibes now.
Yep, they are a pure babyface team at this point, and I love it. I think Akira is the type of guy who can be like a babyface, like ace of a division. Like, he's that good.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say Akira in particular. I think he kind of like he's going to shine in that role, and there's a lot of potential there. I think we've both said before we're both super high on him. See really big things from him. And now he's kind of like got the crowd behind him. I think sky's the limit for him there. And yeah, that, Drilla Maloney nearly gave him his maiden name there. He's yeah, this is absolutely his best showing. I kind of pointed out when he made the jump to Bullet Club that I think kind of like aesthetically it was a kind of a better fit for him. And I think his team with Clark Connors was super fun. So yeah, looking forward to seeing where that goes. So I'm willing to give him more of a chance, because I don't think either man kind of like showed out too much in Best of the Super Juniors. So now they've got that tag team going, I think should be good for both men. And yeah, another big win for Bullet Club. That kind of like level below David Finlay. I was looking super strong. So yeah, they're on the right track after a bit of a shaky start with this new kind of iteration. But yeah, good stuff.
In the main event, this is getting a ton of talk, a ton of buzz all over Twitter today. Yeah. This was not just a no DQ tag match. This was a doomsday no DQ tag match. Jon Moxley and Homicide took on El Desperado and the hardcore legend himself, Jun Kasai, in the main event here of Korakuen Hall. 48 years old, by the way, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And wow, I mean, this was just completely unlike anything you'll ever see in a modern New Japan ring in Japan specifically. They just brawled all over the place, complete no DQ. It's not because they do like one no DQ match a year. Like, it's that rare. And even then, a lot of the times it's like a couple big spots. Like, they'll have Archer put somebody through a table in a Texas death match or something like that, right? This was all American ECW, GCW style brawling all over the place, right? setting up spots, setting up these scenarios where people are using new weapons like forks and chairs and tables. And of course, the most notable spot in the match, Jon Moxley taking the Jun Kasai skewers, his signature hardcore spot there. But this was so much fun. Ultimate like hardcore party match. Great Korakuen Hall main event. A molten hot crowd for this one too.
Yeah.
They were doing the and that was, I forgot to mention that with the Stardom the Stardom match earlier, or the the women's match I should say. The Stardom crowds recently, I'm like waiting for them to get super hot and into it. And I guess maybe that's part of why it didn't take away that much from the strap match main event, because I'm like, I don't know, it hasn't really been that hot recently, so it didn't feel that different. So they were super hot for Willow and for Julia and all that. And it obviously carried into and was expanded on in this main event here.
Yeah, this was this is terrific. Just on like kind of the crowd thing before I like get into the match in particular. First, the kind of Stardom thing. I do definitely think there was kind of a this crowd in particular was a real special one. I think they may not be mic'd up as well. So I've heard that they're not kind of on the like.
They should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course, I'm not excusing anything. There's a lot of things that I think Stardom could be doing a lot more with, considering like their position, kind of like in the game at the moment. But yeah, just like throughout the whole show, I thought the crowd was like super hot. But this match was like a whole nother level. When Moxley came out, he got a huge pop. I was kind of thinking like, wow, the crowd are rocking for this one. Then Jun Kasai came out, and it was like, my God, there was people. He had his own kind of section in the crowd that were on their feet, like they were so ready for it. And I was really interested when this kind of match got announced. Obviously, with the names involved, we knew kind of like what it could be as a death match. But with it being a New Japan ring, I was kind of like, are we going to get the full Jun Kasai experience here? And we absolutely
did, without a doubt.
They didn't pull any punches. There was raised the bloody razor blade cross. They brought out the fork board. Yeah, everything. Obviously the skewers like you mentioned. It was it was like exactly what you would have imagined this match would have been in kind of like its best form. And it was really something special. Like the kind of like because we don't get this kind of at all in New Japan. It really stands out, and it's like feels like something really, really special. Obviously, if this match happened on like a GCW or like a Freedom show or whatever, it would have been excellent. The same quality of match, but it kind of stands out as something really special when it's like a stark contrast to everything else that goes on in this promotion. And yeah, it's just incredible. Obviously, we're going to get the singles death match tomorrow, so this was like an excellent preview for that. And that's kind of like the theme of this night. There was a lot of like matches that previewed night 2, and I think I kind of like in general looking at this card when we were going into this kind of double header of shows, I thought this was kind of like the weaker of the 2 cards, and I had a blast with this show. So I'm really excited.
I know. I was just looking at the card as we move into previewing it. I'm completely with you. Like, New Japan, they are as if it was ever up for debate. Like, they're so back. They have not only many of the best wrestlers in Japan, they have by a mile the best crowds in Japan and the most active, and that it just adds so much to the atmosphere, makes everything enjoyable. It's been a long time. And this even happened every once in a while before the pandemic, where I would be like, yeah, that kind of sucked. Like, that match was kind of bad or whatever. It's been so long since I watched a big New Japan show, and I was like, yeah, that was bad. You know what I mean? All this stuff, like on paper, Catch-22 versus Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. Yeah, that should be okay. It's been elevated into a great junior tag match. On paper, Homicide in a main event in 2023, right? Also, like you said, Jun Kasai in a New Japan ring. Is it going to be a bit muted? No, this could have been a Freedoms main event without a doubt. So I just adored it. I love Jun Kasai. I think everybody pretty much loves Jun Kasai in this year, against hardcore wrestling. Also, notably, before we move on, I want to point out Desperado got the pin. Desperado pinned Homicide in this match, which I don't think was a foregone conclusion. Homicide's a big deal, former Ring of Honor champion. Sets up the singles match for tomorrow. So for tomorrow, We got lots of stuff. We got our preview tags as expected. We do have Rocky Romero and Yo against the War Dogs, which could set up a tag title match down the road, or they could just pin Rocky, something like that. But then moving on down, we do get Tanahashi as well on the show. He and Ishii and the DKC are taking on Team Filthy, so that should be a fun one as well. Then we'll get into the title matches. Willow versus Julia. I think we're both in agreement. We think Julia's going to win that one, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think kind of like looking at like what's next for Willow as well. Obviously, she's got the match with Athena in the Owen tournament, and I think she's probably likely to win that one, which will set up a Ring of Honor title match, which I think she could win. Also win that too. That could go either way. But so I think I'm taking the New Japan title off her there. Right, kind of like frees up that, and also sets up an eventual Julia versus Mercedes match when she eventually comes back. So that's super exciting. But regardless of the results, these two are incredible and having an incredible year, but both. So it should be great.
We're running it back for round 2 of Bishamon versus the Bullet Club War Dogs, this time for the IWGP tag titles. I bet we're going to get some 50-50 booking, and I bet Bishamon comes out and jumps them before the bell just to make it a little bit even. I bet that'll be fun. But and then we have New Japan Strong Openweight title Kenta versus Eddie Kingston. Kingston in a big-time singles title match in New Japan is just a dream come true. Obviously, he's headed to the G1. I am extremely confident in saying he's going to win the Strong title in this match.
Yeah, me too. Obviously, we kind of glossed over his match earlier in night one. The crowd was super hot for him, which is great. Obviously, he feels like he belongs in there. Then that Korakuen, he's really in his element in the New Japan ring in Korakuen. So yeah, big time singles match. Obviously, Kenta, we've spoke about him a ton. He's obviously not what he was by any means.
Right.
On paper, this match sounds tremendous if it was Kenta in his heyday. But it is what it is. Eddie got the pin in his preview match, which is interesting. Maybe I don't know whether I don't know whether that's 50-50 or whatever. I still think Eddie's totally winning. And I think heading into the G1, I think it'll be cool to put a New Japan title on him. That'll be a added dynamic going in with a few of the big matches that he got set up there. And hopefully he can get something out of Kenta in a big singles match. I think if anyone can do it, a fired up Eddie Kingston in Korakuen Hall has got a pretty good shot at it. So should be fun.
In the main event, we have the final death match. This is Jon Moxley versus El Desperado. They obviously had a match against each other around this time last year, right? In America for a Strong show. But this is billed as sort of their final encounter here. And it should be just great. I mean, you combine the talent of the two with the atmosphere that we got today on this show, and it should be one of the best hardcore matches all year. Obviously, it would be stunning if Desperado won this. I don't think there's practically any chance in the world, but I'm just excited for what these two sort of twisted dudes think of to do to each other in this match.
Yeah, it should be tremendous. Obviously, both these guys in these kind of like deathmatch scenarios are excellent. Desperado's emerged as like a tremendous deathmatch wrestler in the kind of last couple of years. He's had a real great showing in these type of matches. There was a cool moment at the end of the tag match that I forgot to mention. Like after the bell, Moxie's kind of talking to the camera. He kind of mentions like it'll be like the final death, and he kisses the camera, and it's like a blood-stained kiss. I think it's like a cool visual. I don't know whether he intended for that to happen, but he bleeds in every match, so it may be across his mind. But yeah, it should be excellent. Obviously, Mox is like more than likely to be winning this, which I think is probably the right call and stuff. But Desperado got the pin in the tag match, so he's already benefited a lot from this from this doubleheader weekend, and just being in there and having a great match with Mox will elevate him even more as well. So it should be really fun. If that tag match is anything to go off, it should be a really exciting one, and another really special matching in a very unique match in a New Japan setting.
All right. Day 2 of New Japan Strong Independence Day. We will have a review of that next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also, and we'll talk about this later, next week is going to be our G1 preview show, which is very exciting. Jamie, you're going to miss it, unfortunately. But
I might try and do a run-in if I'm awake and I'm, I'll see what I
going to
can
be
do.
in España.
España, I will. If I'm awake and catching the show, I'll try and do a little running and give my thoughts on a few things. But I can't make any promises. But I trust that you and Murph will do a great job previewing the G1. I'm gutted to miss that show because it's the G1. It's big time and one of the most fun times in Puro. So yeah, that should be a great show. But yeah.
All right, let's move on to one of the bigger shows in Japan all year. This show broke 5,000 attendance. This was the DragonGate Kobe World Pro Wrestling Festival 2023 from Kobe World Hall. This was on the same day as Stardom Midsummer Champions, and the big buzz about this match is the 5-way cage match main event. I'm going to run down some of the early stuff in the card. Jamie, did you watch this whole show or did you pick and choose? What was kind of your viewing habit here?
I've watched pretty much most of the main match. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I've caught most of the main matches. I don't have a ton of stuff to say because I'm not as invested as a Murph or whatever. It's kind of gutting that he's missing this podcast of all. The big DragonGate special. But yeah, I've got a few thoughts on each match, but I'll keep it kind of brief.
Well, early on, we can breeze through the first, the first few or whatever. The 6-man tag didn't matter. Into the BraveGate title match, Ishin won his first singles title in DragonGate. He defeated Jason Lee for this title. I thought the work here was really good for just an 8-man match. I was really impressed. Ishin, he's just not wrestled all that much, and so for him to have a great match is really valuable. Jason Lee always steps up at Kobe World, and so yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Nice, high paced, kind of like a high speed style match going on. I'm obviously not super invested in kind of the direction of both. So I've seen a few mixed reactions to the booking decision of Ishin winning. I've saw a lot of people complaining that Jason Lee didn't have a super long reign or whatever. But Murph will probably be able to tell us more about kind of his thoughts on.
He had it for 4 months, if I recall correctly. Maybe he didn't defend it that much, but yeah, I feel
maybe I don't know. Again, I'm not I'm not kind of the expert to go to on that.
Yeah,
but I thought the work was super fun. I think it was kind of 8 minutes or something like that, which is a theme of this show, which I'll get to. Not this match in particular didn't stand out with it as much because I thought it was fun as a high speed kind of style match. But I thought some of the matches left a little kind of a lot to be desired. And kind of I think they could have gone a bit longer or they could have done a bit more with them. But this match I think benefited from a shorter pace and kind of a shorter match and a higher pace. So yeah, fun title match.
We had Keno and Masaki Mochizuki defeating Don Fuji and Shuji Kondo. Keno pinned, I think Kondo, I can't recall, with a professional foot stomp in this one. This was just simple, getting Keno on the show because he's been in DragonGate a lot this year, but not really much to say there. We had, Stalker Ichikawa always does the big, comedy singles match at Kobe World. He's done it against Fujinami. He's done it against Aja Kong. Last year it was against Keiji Muto, and in Keiji Muto's last singles victory ever, which is pretty funny. It's against Stalker Ichikawa, but yeah, this year it was funny. There was a bit of misdirection. They had Punch Tominaga, who is terrible at everything and is a comedy guy, come out, and then we heard Shingo Takagi's music. Obviously, Shingo, probably the second most important wrestler in DragonGate history behind only Shima. And so for him to come out, he did the 7-second squash or whatever. And then Ichikawa often requests a rematch after losing so quickly. And the way they did this was a ton of fun. They had some really fun interplay with Punch out there. And then, Shingo took, and Murph told me he jumped out of his seat for this. Shingo takes a full-on vertical German from this Ichikawa guy who has to weigh, 105 pounds or something like that. And I thought this was so entertaining. And it was reminiscent of Shingo's final run in Dragon Gate, where he was their comedy champ.
Yeah, I thought this was a blast. Obviously, Shingo in kind of like a more comedy centric
Mm-hmm.
match. It is great because obviously in New Japan, he's kind of like he's like a big kind of muscly, dominant, world title challenger.
Mm-hmm.
So in a complete different setting, I thought he really shined in this. Wasn't too surprised to see it be Shingo. Murph pointed it out as well last week that it was kind of like nailed on to be him, especially with him being there for Hiromu's match anyway. But yeah, it's always fun seeing Shingo back in Dragon Gate. Obviously, he was there in December, I believe, for a match or two.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just it's good to see him in there, and yeah, fun dynamic, slightly different style Shingo match to what we usually used to see him, but he gave it his all. He gave a lot to that comedy style, and yeah, fun stuff.
Opened the Twin Gate title match. It was M3K successfully defending their titles against Ben K and BB Hulk. I was surprised at no title change here, but match was just okay. It was all right. I really don't have much to say here other than I did think that Gold Class was going to win this one.
Yeah, I don't have too much kind of like to add on this one either. It was all right.
Big time singles match. Hiromu Takahashi, of course, the current ace of New Japan's junior division, their current IWGP junior heavyweight champion, took on Yamato, who has been the ace of Dragon Gate for years and years. At this point, he's their top guy. And although that's finally starting to fade away as we get into more Shun Skywalker and Yoshio Kyoka and people like that. I was really looking forward to this match coming in. It kind of disappointed me. I don't know. I just felt like they didn't lean into one thing too much. Like they should have either had Hiromu lean into being a heel, like an outsider heel a lot, and Yamato work as the incredible baby face, or you should have had them just do like spot stuff the entire time, which both of them are fantastic at. Just spot fest, hard hitting, fast paced matches. It was just it was good. And there was some good drama towards the end as they're trading, their signature moves and everything. You're getting these go to hospitals and the dynamite plunger and all that. But outside of that, I was a little disappointed in this one.
Yeah, same. This was kind of one of the matches, as I pointed out before, that kind of left a lot to be desired. Obviously, we know how good both of these two can be. Hiromu in particular, like this year, he's had a terrific run with the junior title. And yeah, just like the star power was there. It kind of like at the start, I had the big fight feel with the kind of two names going into it. But yeah, definitely feel like they could have done a lot more with it. I was almost kind of expecting maybe Yamato to get a surprise win to set up maybe a IWGP Junior title match maybe down the line. And I just felt like there was a few directions they could have gone with this that they kind of ended up kind of going nowhere with it. They just kind of had a match, and it was okay because both guys are great, but definitely a lot to be desired in this one.
I do have to talk about something here in this match that sort of grated on me, which was the English commentary. I thought, did you watch on English commentary? Did you watch on Japanese? Do you recall?
I did watch on an English commentary.
So Jay, I don't remember his last name. I have voted for him for like best commentator in The Observer in past years. He has unmatched knowledge of Dragon Gate's history and the interplay between all the wrestlers and the stables and how things have changed and developed, how even their business has grown and faltered over the years and their place in Japanese wrestling. And I adore listening to that. And he's pretty good at calling the action too. Like he can rattle off the signature moves right off the top of his head. He is good at following the stories and everything like that. In recent months, he has leaned more and more into, I can't tell if he's trying to do like a character or if it's or if it's just him shooting. And I kind of think it's the latter, where he just fucking complains about other promotions and other wrestlers and anything that's not Dragon Gate. He has nothing positive to say. And I just don't get it. So in this match, he mentions probably 4 times how New Japan doesn't care about anybody except New Japan, and how Hiromu's All-Star Junior Festival was like a farce, and how they just, they used Yamato's name to sell tickets, not that, or a Dragon Gate wrestler's name to sell tickets like Shun or whoever, right? And I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand the goal in, like, what is that okay. maybe there's like, I mean, I'm sure there is truth to the idea that New Japan is sort of a cynical, business-oriented place because they're trying to make money, right? And yeah, I'm sure the All-Star Junior Festival was booked with the intention that DragonGate wrestlers and CMLL wrestlers and Noah wrestlers will sell tickets. But I just don't like, and this happened later too, when this was in the following match with Gold Class, of course. People who don't know the history around Gold Class, when they debuted, it was Naruki Doi sort of leading Kota Minoura into a stable, and then the third guy, and they were supposed to be like handsome dudes, and then the third guy there is Kaito Ishida, right? He openly insulted Kaito Ishida in this match. He was like, we know for a fact that Minorita is a better third member of this team than Ishida was. And he even said it like way worse and way more patronizing than that. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, Ishida had an incredible DreamGate match against Shun Skywalker at the height of the pandemic. He was an essential part of the three-way Twin Gate match that was the best match in 2019's Kobe World, right? If you don't like that he like left the company, that's fine. But I'm sorry, Jay, as a fan of lots of Japanese wrestling, not just fucking Dragon Gate, I don't fucking give a shit, dude. Like, I don't care at all whether you think he spurned Dragon Gate or you think he sucks or whatever. I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit at all as a fan.
It's like jarring to like listen to. It's like he's just like trying to like get his shit off on all these people. Like, it doesn't like just commentate the match, man.
Yeah,
don't give a
like,
shit.
what are you getting paid to do? Like, God bless.
Like that. You know, we're trying to watch the match.
Yeah, God bless. The Dragon Gate. And by the way, to be clear, it is not until recently I've had a problem with Jay. I think, if you were ever to hear this or whatever, I genuinely think he's a great commentator. And I always, Dragon Gate is one of the few promotions that I always click on English commentary if it's available. But goddamn, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is Kobe World. It's 5,000 in attendance, and you're complaining. You're like taking shots at Kaito Ishida, who's in a promotion that's not even on most people's radar right now. Right? Nobody even thinks about Kaito Ishida right now, unless you're like a pro nerd. Okay, and you just can't resist it. So I don't know. I don't get it.
They're like taking shots at New Japan as well. Like, they haven't like lended like two of their biggest stars.
Yeah, I'm sure Kobe World did a great number, and I'm sure the cage match had a big part of it. I'm sure that Kikuta and Yoshioka were a big part of it, but also it's fucking Hiromu and Shingo Takagi on this show, right? Shingo, essentially, he, not to be all like old school booking, but he did give Kikuta the rub last December. The story was all about him and Kikuta in that tag title match. And I don't think if that match happens that Kikuta is seen as a world champion as he is now. So I just don't get it. I don't get the frustration. I do get that. Well, I should, okay. I don't even really get the frustration because Dragon Gate has always been it's simultaneously niche and also consistently the second or third biggest promotion in Japan. So you guys are doing fine. But like, just let it be, right? Like, it's okay. Just call the action. Like, if your goal is to get people, if I'm somebody who's never checked out Dragon Gate before, and I'm like, I want to see Kobe World. What is the odds-on most likely promotion in Japan that I have already seen coming into this show? It's probably New Japan, right?
Yeah.
So if I click on this, and I'm like, oh, I love Hiromu. He's great. He's one of my favorites in New Japan. I'm going to watch him against Yamato, who's awesome. And then I watch the match, and this commentator's like, fuck New Japan. And I'm sure he would say that he's like doing a character or whatever, but there's obviously truth to it. Like, it's too transparent. If you listen to Open the Voice Gate or whatever, it's very, evident too. So regardless, I just had to get that off my chest. It was just very strange. I don't get it at all. And it's rare that you have that little backstage peek when you get into Puro, and I prefer it that way. I don't fucking give a shit about backstage stuff. I like watching wrestlers perform, and that's it. So yeah. All right, so anyway, Let's move on to, it was Hiromu winning that match. The Triangle Gate match, it was Gold Class and Naruki Doi coming back to the promotion. He's been working sort of on a part-time basis after leaving the promotion full-time. I want to say late last year. And, you know, he's been Universal Champion in DDT. He's been Junior Champ in All Japan. So he's been all over. He teamed with Kota Minoura and Minorita of Gold Class, and they beat the champs. They beat Natural Vibes, Shimizu, KZ, and Jackie Funky Kamei in what I thought was the second best match on the show. Jamie, did you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, and I'm going to get to the kind of big singles title match in a minute, but yeah, I thought this was a blast. I thought the kind of dynamic with Big Boss Shimizu and Minorita was super fun.
Yes,
Kind of
I completely agree. It was the best part of the match.
Yeah, they're obviously kind of like the very obvious difference in stature there, two completely different styles. So I thought that was super fun. And then I thought the closing stretch as well with KZ and Kota Minoura, I believe, was also super fun. Kind of left me wanting, like, you know, there's kind of a few more singles matches maybe between the two of them. Obviously, I've not like, you know, as I mentioned a ton, whenever we bring up DragonGate, I'm not super tuned in to all this stuff.
They were in the finals of King of Gate 2 years ago in a really great match. So you should check that out if you're interested in their interactions. Yeah,
absolutely will. But yeah, it's just a super fun. As I kind of said for a few matches where like some matches left like a lot to be desired. This one was kind of like the opposite. I just wanted more in terms of like I was like really happy with what I got, and I just kind of like you know, being a bit greedy, I just kind of want a bit more of it. But I thought they absolutely delivered in this one, and yeah, my second favorite match on the card by a long way.
I'm glad you talked about Minorita and Shimizu. Shimizu is one of my favorites in the promotion. He is so great. He's so charismatic. He's a great worker too for a big guy. And he just makes everything work. Minorita is somebody who he was exactly as advertised for me coming in the sense that he was really annoying a lot to me, and I didn't really enjoy Gold Class at first because of it, and there's a lot of people didn't enjoy Gold Class, and that's why a lot of people think that Ben K coming in really changed things. But I thought Minorita wrestled awesome in this match. He had a great dive to the step up dive to the outside, and awesome interactions between him and Shimizu. That whenever he ends up eventually pinning Shimizu, it's going to be a huge deal. I hope it's for like the Triangle Gate or for the tag titles or something like that, or in King of Gate. I think that would be a great dynamic too. But and then Doi, I'm glad Doi's a champion in DragonGate. DragonGate is better when he's in the promotion, and he's going to have to be in the promotion now as a champion. So I thought this was a big success here.
Good stuff.
Open the DreamGate Championship, their world championship. Madoka Kikuta, in his first defense, defended against his stablemate in D Courage, Yuki Yoshioka, in 23 minutes. Little bit of background setting things up. Yoshioka won this title for the first time at Kobe World last year. He had a meteoric rise, won King of Gate, and then started defending against all former world champions like Eita and and Yamato and people like that, right? So that's kind of where he was on the card. He lost the title to Shin Skywalker, who subsequently lost it to Kikuta. A lot of people have compared, and I completely agree with these comparisons. Yoshioka is like a younger Yamato, and Kikuta is like a younger Shingo. And I think that dynamic played out really well here. This wasn't like a match of the year contender. It wasn't blow away. You can still see, I think you'll agree with me, Jamie, the growth that these two have to do. Keep in mind, Kikuta was born in the year 2000, and he's defending the world championship at Kobe World. But I thought the closing stretch was really great, really hard hitting, great counters, great trading of finishers and all that. Good drama towards the end too, even though I don't think a lot of people thought Yoshioka was going to win this one. But I've been, ever since Yoshioka lost the mask and before he was Dia Inferno, I've been a big believer in him, and that kept things up. I'm still not 100% sold on Kikuta, but he's getting there every single show that I watch him.
Yeah, I was super excited heading into this match. Obviously, for a lot of the reasons you said, obviously, Yoshioka had a terrific run as champion. And then Kikuta is someone who kind of like, when I was kind of dipping my toes into DragonGate kind of earlier in the year, he was a big standout for me on some of the tours that I checked out. So I was happy to see him win the belt. Obviously, first defense here. I feel like this is another one that left kind of a lot to be desired for me. And like I think the work in it was pretty, pretty solid all around. I feel like these two have absolutely got better matches in them down the line, which I think we will get. I feel like a dynamic change could give this like type of match, kind of a bit more of a spark to it. Obviously, the kind of they're in the same faction, I believe, right? These two.
Yep, they're it's just one other guy, Dragon Dias, so they are tight knit.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe down the line with possibly a slightly different dynamic, this could have a bit more heat to it. But by no means was it a bad match, like you said. Like the closing stretch was pretty fun. So yeah, like a solid first defense, but definitely a match that I think they've got better versions of down the line.
A lot of, I mean, the focus of this show was on the future of DragonGate. A lot of it was, there were some tribute acts towards the end, but it definitely felt that the showcased people in most of the matches were the younger guys. Like the most important match in the Twin Gate match, even though they ended up losing, was Benkei. Like he was the big focus. The most important wrestler in the Triangle Gate match was Minorita, and he's the youngest guy out of that group too. So this was another example of them showcasing their young wrestlers here. Yeah, I'm interested to see. I think another limit here was just the babyface versus babyface dynamic. Like, they're both pure white meat babyface. There wasn't a lot to sink your teeth into in recent years. We've had, like, Eita as world champ. We've had Shin Skywalker, who, well, I guess he wouldn't have been a heel as world champ, but we had Kai last year as well, and then Kota Minoura was kind of heelish too, and he was losing in his challenge to Yoshioka. So a rare pure like babyface versus babyface challenge here at Kobe World that maybe limited some of the crowd reactions too. Okay, let's get into the main event. This is the big buzzworthy thing from this show. 37 minutes. This was the mask versus mask 5-way steel cage survival match. Diamante, Strong Machine J, Shun Skywalker, Dragon Kid, and Ultimo Dragon were in this match. The rules were you have to escape the cage, climb up, grab your mask from the pole. Usually they do like flag matches. That's how they do. It's what they'll do at like Dangerous Gate, right? To do like faction changes and things like that. So you have to grab your own mask and then escape the cage from there. I'm just going to run through what happened in the match, give us a little rundown here, and then we can talk about the results. So Ultimo Dragon was the first man out. The dynamics here were that Diamante really wanted Ultimo Dragon's mask. Shun Skywalker and Strong Machine J really wanted each other's masks. And Dragon Kid idolizes Ultimo Dragon so much that he put himself into the match to defend Ultimo's mask. That dynamic came into play early on as Ultimo Dragon is fighting to escape against Diamante. Dragon Kid has his own mask in reach, but he ends up foregoing that to run interference on Diamante and allow Ultimo Dragon to escape first. Then Dragon Kid is the next one to escape as well. I'm trying to remember the dynamic of how he was able to do that. But obviously, there was zero chance he was losing his mask on this one, so that wasn't surprising. Final three, Shun, Diamante, and Strong Machine J. It should be noted that Shun and Diamante are stablemates as well, and they're tag team partners. They were former tag champions together. Strong Machine J makes a big-time babyface comeback after getting the shit beat out of him over and over. He is able to escape as well, ensuring that his rival is the one who stays in there, Shun Skywalker. So, and Strong Machine J's whole point is that he wants to show that he belongs in the so New Japan did their own Three Musketeers, right? The new Reiwa Three Musketeers. DragonGate did that a couple months ago, and they had Shun, Strong Machine, Minoura, Benkei, Kikuta, and Yoshioka, and those were their 6. And so Strong Machine J was trying to prove that he belonged there, and he did. Final 2, Diamante and Shun, stablemates and tag partners. Shun is like, no, you go. He's like crying on the mat. He's like, you leave. Goodbye, Diamante. You can escape. And Diamante goes up and he goes and gets to escape. And then Shun turns on him and he pulls him back down, and they fight and then they wrestle and they go at it. They go at it back and forth. And eventually it is Shun Skywalker who hit just some incredible offense in this sequence. He had a crazy moonsault that was just one of the best moonsaults you'll ever see. And he was able to escape the cage. Diamante loses the match. He has to unmask, and that is the 37 minutes of drama that we saw in the main event of Kobe World. Jamie, after all that, what did you think of this?
I thought this was terrific. This was like, I kind of hammered on in the earlier matches about some matches kind of being underwhelming. I got absolutely everything I wanted out of this match and more. Obviously, I knew the in ring would be good. I love all 5 guys, you know, from like kind of everything I've seen. Obviously, seen some more than others, but you know, from everything I've seen, I know they're all really good. But just the drama in this, you kind of mentioned the kind of different dynamics. There was kind of like three kind of acts to it, as you kind of pointed out. There was the whole Ultimo Dragon and Dragon Kid thing, which I thought was super fun. Him kind of like sacrificing himself at times to make sure he got out there. We kind of predicted that Ultimo was going to be the first one out there because he was never losing. He was never losing the match.
Literally zero chance that he's going to lose that match.
Absolutely not. But then you obviously had once Dragon Kid gets out, you then have the kind of handicap match scenario there with Strong Machine J. Before played his role to perfection as the kind of like, as you mentioned, like the fighting babyface trying to prove that he's you know, that he deserves to be in that big 6 against obviously Shun Skywalker and Diamante. And then once that kind of subsides, we get to like the real the absolute peak of this match. I love this bit, the dynamic of Shun Skywalker and Diamante. Shun Skywalker is a magnificent piece of shit. Like
he is, oh my god, he's the best. He's the best guy in the company right now for me. Like he's the best wrestler. He has such a masterful command of his character and his mannerisms right now. He's my age, by the way, which is baffling. Like he's so composed and he just gives it his all. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, it's just like just a terrific close, like when he's like willing to sacrifice himself, and then he leaps to his feet to go and drag the amount of that. I was like, no. I was I was about to say I couldn't believe it. Like I could. It's Shun Skywalker. As I said, he's a dick, but it you know, it didn't make it any less. Kind of knowing what was about to happen didn't make it any less impactful, and just tremendous the whole way through. As I said, like all the different dynamics, super emotional. And yeah, of course, like these type of matches, you know, the amount of weight that these kind of like masks carry for these wrestlers, you know, you wrestle kind of your whole career under this mask of like a
debuted at the age of 14 in Mexico and has worn his mask in every single match since then.
Yeah, it's a you know, it's a massively important thing, and obviously the kind of emotions tell after the match, and we see the kind of reactions and stuff. But so already the emotions were running high going into it, and then with the different dynamics, it was just perfect. And yeah, I love this match. I wish Murph was here to like give his thoughts, because I know he'd be able to. He'd go on and on about this match. I imagine he absolutely loved it. So saw a few of his messages in the chat, and he was popping a lot. So yeah, just terrific.
Yeah, Murph thought the main event was incredible. I think he gave it 5 stars in the spreadsheet. It was great. I think this cage match was the best DragonGate match in 2 years. It was at least since Yamato versus Shun for the DreamGate title at Kobe World 2021, which is still like one of the most underrated matches ever. I gave that 5 stars, and I'm pretty judicious with my 5 stars, especially when it comes to Pandemic Puro. But that match is so fucking good. Like you have to go check that out if you haven't, if you're watching. It's also under 20 minutes. It's just unbelievable wrestling. So I thought this match was unbelievable. Just the structure, the care and attention they put into it. This is why I want so much for DragonGate, because I love Lucha Libre so much. And AAA once every couple of years does one of these escape the cage mask versus mask matches, and they usually fucking suck because they don't like care to actually structure it or build on some sort of long-term story or something like that, right? It's usually like, oh, you know, Hijo del Fantasma is going to WWE, better take his mask before he goes, something like that, right? So the I love the 3-act description of it. It really was 3 acts. It didn't feel it simultaneously felt like an epic 37 minutes, but when you see a Pearl match goes 37 minutes, you think, "Oh man, that's a long ass match." It completely deserved the length. It was the perfect length. It didn't go a second too long or too short. It was just perfect. It was just enough to get the heat on Strong Machine J, right? For him to make the comeback. It was just enough time with Ultimo and Dragon Kid in there that there's drama when you know in your heart that they're not going to lose. And then the closing stretch went just long enough too. It was just great. So, even though the rest of the show didn't hit the Kobe World heights that I'm used to, at least pre-pandemic, the main event is one of the best matches in modern Dragon Gate history. And I think it's must watch for any fan of Japanese pro wrestling, even if you don't understand the stories, even if you don't know the wrestlers, even if you're not a fan of Dragon Gate. I think there's enough here that you're gonna buy into what they're doing, and they're just good enough at what they do that you're gonna love it too. So
absolutely,
yeah. All right, that was Kobe World. I really briefly want to talk about All Japan. We have a new Triple Crown champion. Yuma Aoyagi defeated Yuji Nagata at Korakuen Hall this past weekend to win the Triple Crown title for the first time, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yeah, it was. Hey, I just have to shout that out.
He finished the story.
He finished the story.
Oh my! He did the thing, yo.
He did it. Oh. No, I'm just very happy about that. He beat Yuji Nagata. Like, that's a big deal to beat Yuji Nagata, right? And it's just perfect. And he's double champ. He's tag champ too. So they call it like quad champ, right? They call it the 4X champion. He's Yuma 4 belts right now. After Yuji Nagata brought back the 3 original belts that he wanted to have that as champion. So I just had to point that out. I'm super excited about what they'll do next there. He has been the second best guy in All Japan for years now, and he deserves, if it's not going to be Kento, he's the guy who it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I've mentioned it a lot this year that, like, I think Kento Kaito, I'm getting my people mixed up here. My Kaitos and my Kentos. Kento Miyahara has maybe been my favorite wrestler of the whole year, and Yuma Aoyagi's been in like practically almost all of the same big matches of it, just as much as a big part. Obviously, all the big tag matches I mentioned, and the All Together Again main and stuff like that. So he's more than deserving of this kind of title run. I'm ready to see what he can do with it. And then for Nagata, it's just been a blast to see him like have another great reign. As a top singles champion, I think he's delivered. He's kind of like the style he works. He really makes the challenges like earn the win. With kind of like he's like the big imposing veteran. And I thought that made Yuma's title win even more impactful. Kind of a real mountain to climb with Nagata, but he got over there. And great moments.
I wanted to have a couple super chats here before we move on to a brief TJPW exercise here. Matt B, 555. Crowd was above average for New Japan due to Kasai Freedom's fans. Please predict next 6 months of women's IWGP and Strong Belts. Mercedes all in. So for Strong, I definitely think Mercedes is getting this title back at some point, right? And I really hope we get Mercedes Julia. I mean, that would be the ideal for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. I think Julia wins tomorrow or tonight, I guess, and then Mercedes gets it. And then obviously, I don't know how often they're going to defend that title. So I think maybe 6 months' time, it might still be Mercedes, depending on what we get. IWGP is a little different. Mayu hasn't like defended it at all yet. So we don't really know when we're next going to see that. They teased the match with Mariah May, but she's now kind of like doing the tag stuff. So I don't know whether that's something they're going to get to anytime soon. I don't know. They defend that title so infrequently that it very well still could be Mayu. So I don't really have a kind of guess on that one.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get the Mariah May. Maybe I don't know if I haven't looked at the schedule, but if they do one of those like mid 5-star GP like pay-per-views where they do title matches, you could do it there for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we have the GP coming up. Whoever ends up like maybe Starlight Kid challenges for it, right? I actually think Starlight Kid is a pretty likely challenge at some point because she's been a constant presence on the New Japan crossover stuff. Obviously, the New Japan people seem to really like Starlight Kid, so having her in that title picture definitely makes sense to me. It's hard to say because there's so many different directions they could go, but I'll say Mayu still has it in 6 months, and she's defended against Mariah May and Starlight Kid at that time.
Yeah.
Then we have a $1.99 super chat from Margaret. Oh, Jamie, my dear, word on the street, you got a big bunda.
I'm not acknowledging Margaret Thatcher. That's not happening. Thank you for the $2, but
Ibu is currently being ratioed on Twitter because he tweeted that Rhea Ripley. He tweeted something like just something insane. Like
why?
He tweeted like he was like Rhea Ripley. It's like Rhea Ripley has officially surpassed Bianca Belair. And I'm like,
he's like,
come on, man.
God.
You're a glutton for punishment. You're addicted to posting. Yeah, he was so sad when he couldn't read tweets on the other day when rate limit was exceeded. So no, thank you for being here, Ibu. We appreciate it. Okay, let's very briefly talk TJPW. They have Summer Sun Princess this weekend, hailing from Ota Ward Gymnasium, which is always a nice venue. I thought this was one of the best TJPW shows last year when they had the Shoko versus Rika Tatsumi main event. That match was really great. This year it is main evented by Mizuki defending against Maki Ito. I don't think Ito's going to win the title just because she doesn't seem that committed to TJPW right now. But also they have the story. Mizuki and Ito have a ton of history. And Ito has challenged and has just never won. Scarecrow, chill. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say Mizuki retains.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, like you mentioned, there's a lot of story there. And I think like when Mizuki won the belt, my kind of like long-term prediction. I kind of try and make a prediction, kind of a long-term view. Who's eventually going to beat her? And I settled on Maki Ito, but I think it's definitely too soon. And also, I remember the comment from Coda, is it the booker of TJPW, kind of mentioned when Yuka left, the people are kind of like graduating TJPW, and we don't want to keep people around a lot. And obviously, Maki Ito has been in America a ton, kind of like GCW and AEW stuff. It definitely feels like she could be someone who isn't going to stick around for a ton, as you kind of pointed out. So is that kind of like, is she someone they're going to stick the main title? I'm not so sure. So I'm going to go for a Mizuki win there as well. And the match will be all right. Obviously, like, the Mizuki Yuka match left a lot to be desired, and kind of like the dynamic they ran with that definitely wasn't the best version of that match at all. So I've not been like super high on Mizuki's reign as a whole. I'm not kind of checked out a ton of what she's done since then, but I've seen bits here and there. But I've not been like super thrilled. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I love Ito. I don't know about this. I don't know about this fucking promotion, to be honest. But semi-main is International Princess title. They do thankfully have Rika Tatsumi in a singles title match here. She's defending against Yuki Aino, who's been kind of like, she's actually an established mid-carder in this company, like not just like a jobber like a lot of wrestlers are. But she still has not, like, this is a big spot for Yuki Aino. I mean, we'll see what she does here. I actually like Aino a lot, and obviously Rika is my favorite wrestler in TJPW, so I'm looking forward to this. But I don't know if you and again, if you don't have to have thoughts on these. If you do, jump in. But if you don't, I'll just keep going. This is a weird match to be third from the top. Saki-sama, in probably one of her last TJPW appearances in May Saint Michel, that's obviously Mei Saruga, or is it? Are taking on Yuki Arai and Wakana Uehara. Uehara debuted in the last year, and people really, really like her. So this is a good spot for her. I still think Yuki Arai is fucking garbage, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm sad. We should briefly talk about Saki Akai. I'm sad that she's leaving wrestling. She's great. I guess we did talk about her a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I think she's awesome. So, but also love it when wrestlers can go out on their own terms.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna. I think she's great, and I also really like the dynamic with her and May in TJPW. I think they're a fun team. I always like when they pop up on these big shows. So yeah, she'll be sorely missed. And yeah.
Couple big singles matches with top stars in TJPW taking on big time international talent. Miyu Yamashita versus Sawyer Wreck and Nyla Rose versus Miyu Watanabe. Should be some fun matches here. Looking forward to both of those, definitely.
Yeah, the Miyu and Nyla Rose one stands out to me. I think that should be a really fun, kind of like horse fight. Miyu Watanabe, a bit of a powerhouse, and then I love Nyla Rose, so should be a good match.
Got a three-way tag match with three sort of strange bedfellows tag teams: Shoko Nakajima and Hyper Misao, Aja Kong and Raku, and Max the Impaler and Palm Harajuku. That's going to be like a party match, fun match. If you are a TJPW fan, that's probably your like second most anticipated match on the show. That is all TJPW, like big show goodness on that one if you're a fan of that stuff. Defy Women's title, Vert Vixen defends against Hikari Noah, just another, international talent there. Ryo Mizunami is on this show. Asuka Veni is on this show. And then we've got Juria Nagano's comeback match. I think this is a carbon copy of Juria Nagano's debut match, which was at the same show too. Suzume and Arisu Endo versus Moka Miyamoto and Juria Nagano. Nagano is somebody who has a lot of potential, a lot of believers in her. So
yeah,
not super sorry, I keep cutting you off, but I could not give less of a shit about this show. Like I cover it because I rag on TJPW. They have had awesome matches and they have great wrestlers: Yamashita, Rika Tatsumi, Miyu Watanabe. Right? I just like some of this stuff. I just don't care. All right, let's move on. It's that time for the thing we do every week, and I'm stalling because I can't find it. The Beast of the Week.
Wow.
I'm going to mention Murph's first because he's not here. Murph's Beast of the Week is the Pirate of the Caribbean, Jesus Ferreira, who had 2 distinct hat tricks for the U.S. men's national team over the past couple weeks. So very proud of him on Independence Day, representing U.S. soccer. In the meantime, Jamie, who's your Beast of the Week?
Murph keeping up the trend of not picking wrestlers.
Not a wrestler, nothing to do with wrestling.
He's way too far. I don't think we're ever getting him back.
It's never happening again.
Yeah. I was shocked he didn't even go for it. It was Kobe World. He didn't even go for a DragonGate wrestler. God, what's happened to him? There's a lot of tough choices. We've covered a lot of big shows.
I can go ahead with mine then.
I'll let you go in case you.
Yeah. I gotta go Diamante. Diamante. Just putting in the work. One of my favorite things is looking at the list of wrestlers who stayed in Japan throughout the entire pandemic. Like, if you were wrestling in Japan in like April 2020, like you're number one, you're a freak, and number two, you're awesome. All right. Or if you were, in May or whenever, promotions came back, Diamante was one of those who stayed in Japan. He was the only foreigner to do so for DragonGate, and he has put in the work, improved as a wrestler, and been rewarded with being the focal point of their biggest show of the year. And I love it when wrestlers put in the work to be recognized to that extent. And I think Diamante has done that. I think that's extremely beast to have done that. So Diamante for me.
Yeah, great pick. Would you quickly on Diamante? Is he still going by Diamante, or is he now Luis? Or
he will probably still go by Diamante. Yep.
Yeah, great. Okay, tough choice. I'm gonna go with a guy we touched on a little bit earlier, Yuma Aoyagi, just for like
great choice.
I'd only spent too much time on it. We kind of mentioned it, but he's had a terrific year, and he reached the top of All Japan Pro Wrestling. He's now, as we said, he's got 4 belts. He's got the original Triple Crown. Terrific match with Yuji Nagata, and just a real great crowner moment for like one of All Japan's most consistent and best performers. Really deserved the win. So yeah, my Beast of the Week, Yuma Aoyagi.
We have a brief super chat here from Ibrahim Niang, which is a lie, by the way. $1.99. I love TJPW. He's just lying to us right now. But yeah, anyway. So I also think, instead of a collective one, I really wanted to mention this because I know we're running out of time, but I'm going to talk about this very briefly. We've been doing the show for a while here, Jamie-san, and this is show 33. And we've seen some retirements in the meantime. Okay, I would like to briefly talk about Yuji Okabayashi, who has said that he is leaving wrestling. He has always planned to leave wrestling at the age of 40. He had his last big All Japan match a couple weeks ago, which both of us just adored, right? Yeah, Jamie, I would love if you just said a couple words about Yuji Okabayashi and his career in Japan, and obviously being a big part of Big Japan, but also dipping his toe into places like All Japan and even places like 2AW and DDT as well.
Yeah, well, you kind of beat me to it. Like before you said that, I was about to suggest Yuji Okabayashi as our kind
We're
of
on the same page. We're linked up.
Yeah,
I got something planned here for when you're done talking. So
okay, I see.
Bear with me.
Yeah. So yeah, just Okabayashi, man. He's like I'm not gonna pretend that I've like followed his whole entire career and stuff and everything he's done and all that. But every time I watch him, he's outstanding. We only recently just talked about that huge tag match with the Strong BJ and Violent Giants, and I thought he was absolutely the MVP there. We obviously, I think we gave all four men Beast of the Week, but I thought he was the real standout there. And just like just across Big Japan, he's been the guy there. Super hard hit, and I love the way he wrestles. I'm gonna miss him like a ton. Just like an incredible pro wrestler, like one of my favorites. Like whenever I see a Yuji Okabayashi match, I always gotta go and check that out. So it will be very, very sorely missed. And just one of the best that we're currently wrestling, and now obviously now retired. So yeah. What a wrestler.
Obviously was Big Japan through and through, but Big Japan, frankly, has limited availability outside of Japan in terms of consuming it. So for me, he's always going to be the most memorable for his run in All Japan, or his runs, I should say, in All Japan. I'm a huge fan of modern All Japan, and when he did the Champion Carnival, he had incredible matches, through and through. When he did, he at that time, I was looking for any wrestler that could give me scratch that Ishii itch for me, right? And he absolutely does that and more. And then also, of course, the tag matches, the many tag matches against Violent Giants, and just anytime he was in a big time tag match, like he was always an essential part of like an all-star tag match in someplace like 0-1, or even at like Fortune Dream, the Kenta Kobashi shows that always have like some all-star tag match in the main event. It always seems like he makes his way in there, and not only that, but stands out and is often the MVP. So I have a proposal. We've been doing the show for 33 episodes at this time. I would like to make Yuji Okabayashi the first inductee to the Hall of Beasts, a permanent lifelong membership. He is no longer eligible for the Beast of the Week because we all just assume, if we were to ever come back, we all just assume night in and night out that he is giving us a beast level performance every time he goes out there. How do you feel about that, Jamie?
That is absolutely terrific. I couldn't have possibly thought of a higher honor for Yuji Okabayashi. I was about to point out. Remember when we did the way back when early in Dumb Guy Lives kind of one of the very earliest episodes. We did the Puro draft, and I
you got him.
I got him, and I don't think you two kind of expected me to take him. And I think the kind of main selling point when I was drafting him was I was building a beast division of big, meaty fuckers, and he was the centerpiece of my beast division. So that kind of said all you needed to know about his style of wrestling and how beast he is. So him being the first inductee into the Hall of Beasts on Dumb Guy Live is just, I couldn't think of a more deserving person to go in there.
So I'm thinking every once in a while, we won't make this a regular thing, but if there's somebody who's just like, God damn, we always have this guy in our Beast of the Week, conversation or whatever. I think it's fair play for any of us to be like, hey, we got to put this guy in the Hall of Beasts. He's too beast to just win of the week. He needs something bigger than that. So I think Yuji Okabayashi is a super fitting first entry, and I am so excited to see what other wrestlers we get in there. So looking forward Next week is going to be the big G1 preview. I don't think Murph's going to watch it. Maybe I can get him to watch it, but I'll review parts of the TJPW show. I also will probably touch on the Ganbare Pro show. They're wrestling at Ota Ward as well. Main event there is Mizuki Watase, who I think is great, defending their world title against Isami Kodaka of Basara, who's really talented as well and kind of an indie legend in Japan. So looking forward to that too. But the big stuff next week is that G1 preview. Yeah, that's gonna be our conversation for next week. We'll also talk about New Japan Independence Day too. I'm sure Mox and Despy are gonna kill themselves, but it'll be me and Murph next week. So look forward to that, everybody. All right. So for Jamie, this has been Dumb Guy Live, episode 33. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all that stuff, and make sure you share out the link and keep promoting us. We have had really good growth over the last month or so. I want to keep it up. So all right, we will see you guys next week. Stay dumb.